What's up guys, Drexel Scott here again for another Girls Chase video because you guys liked the last one and so I'm going to keep making more of them. Hopefully other authors on the site will as well. Today's video is going to be called 10-Year Reflections, which is basically going to be about things that I've learned on my journey over the last 10 years of doing this kind of stuff. So it's weird to hear myself say this, but I'm 28 now and that means I've been learning and practicing this stuff for 10 full years, because I started when I was 18 when I discovered the Venusian Arts Manual. Needless to say, the way I view women, seduction, and the world around me is very different now than it was 10 years ago, and I'm beyond sure that 10 years from now, all of these views will have changed again. That said, today's video is going to be about how I thought this all worked when I was still learning it, compared to how I think it all works now that I've had all kinds of crazy success with this particular skill set. If you've been reading my articles, watching my videos, or hanging out on the forums at all, then you've already seen some examples of the kinds of madness that I've enjoyed over the last decade, in the times when I have felt moved to write a field report of some kind, which was not always and actually very rarely. But the reason I'm sharing this with you today is because I very firmly believe that in all areas of life, including seduction, the way that we experience and engage with the world around us is the result of the way that we think. It's a result of our thoughts. In a way, our thoughts shape and guide our perceptions and experiences. What that means is if your thoughts aren't properly formed and assembled, then you won't really be able to make sense of what you're experiencing. But with a deeper understanding of the topic and thoughts that are more aligned with the reality of the situation, then the laws of nature that play out through the dance between men and women will come to light. And it'll really help to shine even more light on the bigger context of everything else you've been learning on this website and on your journey thus far. So I want to reveal some of those rules to you. See, back when I was in your position of reading and practicing all the material I could get my hands on, the way that I thought seduction worked was more or less this. I'd see a girl and I'd think, I want to talk to that girl, but girls are naturally asexual. In fact, a lot of them think sex is gross, and so I have to do all these moves and say all these lines in order to persuade them to have sex with me. I know that when I use certain routines, I can create attraction and give her feelings that no other man has ever made her feel. When I do this right, she will fall so in love with me that she will rebel against her asexual nature and have sex with me. Now for some of you, I may have said a few things there that resonate with where you are now or that sound familiar to the way that you see things. Of course, that thought process is what I had back when my beliefs about men, women, and sex were entirely the result of the programming and social engineering that I'd received through school and the media. So it should come as no surprise that my success with women took a long time to develop and that I spent years, literally years, lost, confused, and trying to make sense of everything that was going on in the conversations and the interactions that I was having with women, where they would say something, I would immediately go to a forum and post, what does this mean? What does this mean? Nowadays, when I see a woman I want to talk to, my subconscious narrative about the whole situation plays out more like this. Oh, she could be fun. I know she's been picked up before. I know she loves sex with the right kind of guy. She's probably had one-night stands and maybe even threesomes. It's more common than you think. So I'm going to go see if she's open to that kind of adventure again. Then when I talk to her, I throw out little bits of bait, conversational bait, to see how she responds. And then I either move the interaction forward from there, or I just leave if she's not interested in the kind of vibe that I'm putting out. I have no interest whatsoever in trying to convince any girl to be interested in me, or the kind of lifestyle that I usually enjoy, the kind of lifestyle that I'm essentially inviting her into. My only real purpose in approaching her is to see whether she's open to what I'm offering. And if she's not, no harm, no foul. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. I'll just go talk to someone else. See, I used to have a whole bunch of routines and Kino escalation moves and that kind of stuff, and they do have their place. But as I mentioned back then, I believed that women were not really attracted to men, and that you have to go out of your way and basically trick them into it or convince them of it in some way. And they themselves will act as if this is the case. If you're a beta male or omega, which is even below beta, they will pretend to be asexual. And since that's the place I came from, that's what they showed me, and so that's what I believed. Now, if you actually climb up that ladder and start to see more of what's really happening, you'll never get that reaction anymore. So like I was saying, I just believed that they were not naturally attracted to men. But now I know that this is completely false because I've spent enough time around them to know how they talk to each other and how they perceive the world. You don't have to create attraction. You don't have to create sexual tension. In fact, as one of my mentors, a guy named 60 Years of Challenge, once said, nature already took care of those things between men and women. Those forces, those sexual forces, exist naturally in both men and women, and they've kept our species alive and thriving for a lot longer than pickup artists have been around. A pickup artist is really just a beta or omega male who figures out how all this works and then climbs into the ranks of what normally would be reserved for alpha males or sigma males. I myself identify as a sigma male, which is like an alpha without a tribe, someone who just goes his own way basically. A dominant male, but who just lives his own life and doesn't care about approval from the group. That's how I see myself now. In fact, here's how I encourage you to think about women and sex and seduction. Consider that hot, exciting sex is something that all women on Earth have thought about, and they've thought about it a lot. Every single one of them, including the religious good girls that save themselves for marriage, which some women do, but even those women have had fantasies of being swept off their feet by a mysterious, confident stranger who gives her a range of emotions and fantastic sex. Now, this is the key point to understand. This desire, this archetypal fantasy, is already present within her mind when you meet her. She's already thought about this. You don't have to create that desire because it already exists. It's already there, okay? It's there in her mind, sometimes in her subconscious, and other times in her conscious mind, and it's latent, and it's waiting to be activated and directed, the sexual energy. It's already a part of her, a very powerful part of her, but it's only potential sexual energy unless there's an outside force activating it and directing it and making it kinetic sexual energy. So your job as a seducer is to poke that potential energy within her, to wake it up, to amplify that desire, to make it stronger, and to channel it towards you. See, when you begin to activate the sexual energy that's latent in all women by appealing to and activating those sexual archetypes in her mind, that energy will become expansive and chaotic. That's what men experience as women being hot and then cold, or women shit-testing us. What that really is that her sexual energy is awake, you have its attention, and it's just kind of roaming all over the place, testing boundaries and being chaotic. What that energy wants is to be gently and with consent, contained and directed by a man and his male energy. The feminine energy is the chaos, and the masculine energy is the order. So when you pass a shit test, what's really happening is that her energy is trying to be wild and chaotic, and you are subduing it and setting boundaries for it. That is the core of attraction from women to men, having their attempts at energetic chaos be placed within masculine boundaries by a strong man that they respect. Imagine that you're an oak tree and she's a hurricane. She will whip herself against you and throw herself at you with everything she's got, and your job is to remain firm and strong and centered and grounded, and to give a center to that energy, something to bounce off of when it gets out of control, something that's stable. That is how this all works. Now, that said, I want to make the most important point of this video. This is something I've written about before, and something I try to talk about whenever and wherever I can when I'm teaching guys how to succeed with women and just live a better life in general. I know that your deep, deep desire to become successful with women can oftentimes be all that you think about. I know it can be a blinding lust. The idea of getting laid a lot holds tremendous appeal and can sometimes become an all-consuming desire to the degree that other parts of your life end up falling by the wayside, all in your efforts to improve with women. Now, while being able to have real choice in relationships is important, and that's ultimately what learning these skills is about, it's incredibly important to keep your entire life balanced. If you've been neglecting your health or your finances in your pursuit of women, then you're out of balance, and I'm sure that's manifesting in your life through various symptoms if that's the case. If it is the case, then I'm sure you're having various trials and problems and not really realizing the true source of them, which is imbalance or disharmony. Not only is it important to prioritize your own physical, emotional, and mental well-being in addition to your romantic success, But looking back on the last 10 years, if I'm being honest, there was a lot of stuff that I missed out on because of my bottomless desire to succeed with women. Stuff that I should have been paying attention to, such as building my own business and escaping the 9 to 5 world, or fixing my diet and exercising properly, or politics, or philosophy, or spiritual development. Stuff that I'm only now starting to get really deep into over these last couple years. It's resulted in a much more grounded and balanced life, because if women are your only priority, then you've given up everything else. And they're not something that is permanent the way that having your own business can be. So make sure to get clear on your mission and to always prioritize your personal mission in life above success with any particular woman and even women in general. Because at the end of the day, your mission will be with you for your entire life, and any particular woman, if we're being honest, probably won't. So that's the message I'm hoping to spread today. One of equilibrium, balance, harmony between the various parts of your life in order to create a holistic and healthy bigger picture. That said, learning how to succeed with women is a very powerful and transformative path that the vast majority of men will never truly walk. So relax, enjoy the journey, and try to keep it all in perspective. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and just like last time, I will answer them when I get the chance to. See you guys later, and have a good day.